I am ranking all 82 maps that comes with Cities Skylines. This episode is Hotels and Retreats. This series is tournament style with the best map from each DLC sent to the final round to determine which map is truly the best map in Cities Skylines. Here's the point breakdown. Transportation accounts for 4 points with highways, railroads, shipping, and airports counting for 1 point each. Resources are worth 2 points, half a point for each type of resource. How the map looks is worth 3 points, and personal preferences account for 1 point. The maximum any map can score is 10 points. The first map is Castal Flatland. Let's start with the highways. We're starting out really good with some super flat highways, pretty close to the coast, which isn't the perfect location for it, but it's not bad. And we keep going here. We come over here, the whole thing is pretty flat, nice long curves, and then we get this really nice interchange. And when I say this is really nice interchange. It's very well done. Whoever did this, congratulations. That is a very well done interchange. The bridge looks pretty good, nothing too steep, everything looks great. Over here we have a couple steep spots on this interchange, but still this interchange looks phenomenal. I really like this interchange. I think it looks great. Let's take a look over this way. The rest of the highway is flat over there, nice long curves, we're good. And then this way is pretty much the same thing. The highways are very good. Alright, let's look at the railroads. We come along the backside of this hill, which is actually really nice. I think this does a really good job. The railroad's pretty flat. There's a couple spots that might be a little too steep, but I don't think they're bad. When we come along here, the big question is, how is this bridge? The bridge looks great. There's no problems there. When we take a look at this nice big railroad interchange, I think that looks great. A nice wide curve for the trains to get around. Pretty flat over there as well. And we come along, it's basically all flat. The biggest problem with the railroad is we're a few tiles away from it, so you can't really get to it right away. So it's still good, it's just not perfect. So shipping routes here are pretty good. I mean, we have it really close to land. We can get shipping just about anywhere on this. There really isn't a whole lot to say about it. It's pretty good. So the elevation doesn't look too terrible from a distance glance, but when you get in, you can see there are some ridges and whatnot that you have to smooth out. While that's not the end of the world, it does add a little bit more that you have to do in terms of needing soil and things like that. But otherwise, no, this map is really good for airports. There are a lot of resources available on this map, which is really nice. In the first tile, you have access to forestry and farming, which is really nice. You can get oil pretty nearby, or if you go this way, you can get ore pretty close as well as oil. It's all pretty close by, which is nice, and you have plenty of it, making this pretty good. The overall look of the map is really nice. I do like how the map looks. There is a lot more water than I would like to see, but it does make sense for a coastal area. There isn't as many elevation changes that I'd like to see, but the ones that I do see look really good. I like those. It is a lot of flat land, but still it looks great. There's not too much vegetation here. I think this is a great looking map. I'm feeling pretty good about this map. I would really love to give this map a try. The second map is Emerald Cliffs. Let's take a look at the highways. Starting off pretty good. Nothing too terrible over here. Kind of wibble wobbles around here and then goes over this. Not a terrible bridge. It just ends. And I know that's not the starting tile. The starting tile is way over here, which I kind of guess I would have liked to have seen this continue, but it didn't. So that's a little disappointing. Over here we have the highway is pretty flat, nice wide curves. And we get to this interchange. And the problem with this interchange is it's too steep in a lot of these areas. So it's steep right here, it's steep right here. This bridge doesn't need to happen. It does for some reason. This doesn't need to be such a tall bridge. I mean, look how much space you have down here. That's a lot of space. You almost could have not had this one go way over. You could have had it come down through here. And the other gripe I have about this is typically your piers would be lined up so you don't have to design multiple bridges or multiple sections of a bridge. It would just make it much easier if you made them all the same, so that way you have one side designed, you have both sides designed. That's just my thoughts on that, but you know, it is what it is. The rest of the highway is pretty good. No complaints there. It's because of the interchange, it's pretty average. Going to the railroad, which is right here. We have a nice flat railroad and nice wide curves. And then we get up to the bridge over the highway. It's a little bit steep in this area. It's not horrible, but it's a little bit steep. And then same, well, this one's not as bad, but it's still, it's still steep. Goes out there, no problem. My problem is, how do you connect this way? It's going to be difficult. You'd have to make a separate attachment here. And that kind of sucks. This one just comes down here and ends, which is fine. But yeah, I don't really like the fact that I can't make this turn without removing this rock. And the fact that the railroad cut through a rock for no reason when there's no other rocks around here, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense either. So, railroads are pretty good except for this spot, makes it pretty average. Shipping provides plenty of options. Just wherever you want to build a harbor, there's plenty of routes available. You'll see a lot of movements of ships across your waters. That's going to be nice. It'll be a nice visual touch to it. And it goes up into the bay quite a bit, so you can build your harbors just about anywhere. And you have a lot of areas to build harbors. You could make a harbor city, which would be really cool. So yeah, I really like the shipping in this one. Airports are going to be a little bit difficult to build in some areas. Here would be a pretty good area to build an airport, but this is kind of where your starting tile is. You could also build one over here, but again, it's all pretty close to your starting area, which kind of stinks. But I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing. Building it over here would be really difficult. Same with all these hills over here. So airports are okay. They're not the best, but they're okay. There are a lot of resources on this map, which is really good. You have a lot of oil and ore. That's really nice. In the first tile, you don't have a whole lot here, which kind of stinks, but it's all really close by. The ore is probably the furthest thing away, and it's probably best to go down to this one. So it's not too bad. So overall, ore is pretty good. I really do enjoy the look of this map. Look at all the elevation changes. You can see just all these little cliffs here. I love the way they look. And there's a nice bay. I think this is really good looking. I think they did a phenomenal job. There's a lot of details mixed in with these rocks. Again, I would really like to give this map a try. I haven't given it a try yet. It looks like a fun map to play on. The third map is Maze Valley. Let's start with the highways. We have a lot of cliffs around here. So the highways are pretty flat, driving right through the valleys. That's pretty good. I'm not a big fan of it driving right up along the riverside. This is a lot of prime real estate for a city. But this highway is basically hugging it, and that kind of stinks. I would like to move it way over here. This interchange is okay. There is a little bit of a steep curve here. It's not great. This is steep over here too, so that interchange is not phenomenal. And then still, it hugs the river. Not a big fan of that. And goes right through the valley here and leaves. That's the only highway in here. So it's about average. It's not terrible. Looking at railroads now. We follow the highway here, which isn't a bad thing, especially since we're in a valley. And then we break off here into a bridge, which looks pretty good. And we come around the corner here. That's a little bit of a sharp turn, but it's not terrible. Come over here. This makes sense. This is a floodway. So if this lake were to fill up, it would spill out into the river here. That makes plenty of sense. I do like when we have this little bit of detail here. That looks great. And we come around here. It's not terrible. Just a few minor issues, but otherwise, overall, pretty good. As for shipping, I would not have expected there to be a shipping route in here at all, but there is a shipping route in here. And it goes up the river and comes back around and back down the river just to leave. That's the only shipping route. It makes sense. It's great. I didn't even expect one to be in here. And there is one. So that's awesome. Airports are a little bit tricky here. If you build an airport down here, you run the risk of running into a mountain as you're trying to fly up, which isn't great. You would almost have to have an airport on top of here, and it's not particularly flat up here either. So that makes it a little bit challenging, and it's a little bit difficult to get up onto these plateaus without doing a bunch of switchbacks. So it is quite challenging to build an airport on here, but there are areas of opportunity. The resources, on the other hand, are phenomenal. There's a lot of resources available right off the bat. In the first tile, you have a big area of farming, and ore is right next to it, oil is right here, and forestry is around here as well. Industry is pretty good here. The look of this map is pretty cool. I do like the cliffs, but I do feel like they overdid it, and it is a little bit difficult to figure out a way to get up on top of them. The only way that I can see that's pretty manageable is this route here. Other than that, it's a little bit difficult to get up onto the cliffs anywhere else. Maybe here as well. But the look of this map is great. I do like it. In terms of wanting to play it, I do find that this one has a unique challenge to it, and I'm not so sure I want to play it, but I am willing to give it a shot, so it's right in the middle for me. The fourth map is Shifting Sands. Don't be biased, don't be biased, don't be biased. Alright, let's start with highways. Okay, they start out pretty flat, not bad at all. And we come down here, still flat, still flat. All of it's pretty flat. That is a pretty bad interchange. I'm not gonna lie, that does not look great. I am not a fan of that. We got some really steep areas. I don't like that at all. Then we come over here, just ends into the starting tile. And the rest of it's okay. That's all that you got. The interchange is pretty bad. I'm not a big fan of this. Here's the railroad. Just kind of follows this side of the map, which is interesting to say the least. And it just leaves. That sucks. I don't like that. And it's several tiles away. I'm not a fan that it's way over here. Not a fan of that. Shipping routes are pretty good. I do like the fact that it comes around this island here and just leaves. You got plenty of areas to build harbors. That's pretty nice. So yeah, I mean, harbors are really good. Shipping routes, pretty good. I do like it quite a bit. There are some mountains in this area, which makes it a little bit challenging to build an airport properly. And then there are a lot of like shifting areas, like a little bit of elevation changes here. I mean, I don't really think you'd build an airport on sand. I could be wrong. I don't think you would. So really, realistically, your only areas would be over here, and that's pretty bumpy. So airports aren't the greatest. There are plenty of resources available. That's really good. Let's check what's in the first starting tile. We have forestry, farming, and oil all right there. That's really good. Ore is not too far away, and there's plenty of everything, even farming, surprisingly. Now we get to the dreaded part. How does this map look? I do appreciate the mountains. I do like those. I really like the grass part. But there's too much sand. The sand just looks gross. I don't like the look of the sand. Especially mixed in like this, it just does not look good. I am not a fan of this at all. And because of the way this looks, I don't want to play this at all. The fifth map is Weaving Waters. Alright, let's start with the highways. They are pretty flat, pretty wide curves. So far, so good. That's pretty good over there. We have another highway right over here. Nice and flat and wide curves. Then we got an interchange here. Alright, this interchange is looking great. I really like this interchange. It's nice and big, how a normal interchange is. This is pretty flat over here. Nice big wide curve and flat. I like that a lot. This highway is great. Alright, railroads following the highway right over here, and then we break off. Nice wide curve. We got a nice big railroad interchange. That comes over here and just ends. Not a big deal. And it comes over here. We got a nice bridge over this floodway. That's perfect. I am not a fan of it going over this hill. And then that is very well done. That is very, very well done. The transition down to the ground, I really like that. I love details like this. That's great. We come over here. A nice long slanted up, but my only complaint is this is too high in the air for my liking. It's really high up there. And it's a nice long transition down. Looks pretty good. Over here, we just go out there. It's flat, long curves. Good job. The other complaint that I have is we don't have any in the starting tile. It takes a couple just to get to that one. That kind of stinks. That's a bummer. It's not bad. The railroads are good otherwise. Surprisingly, this map has shipping as well, but it only goes up to here. Since they included it, I don't know why they didn't just keep coming up here, maybe to here. But, you know, I mean, this is fine too. The fact that it even has shipping is great. But, I mean, it's just a line. It's just one thing. There's nowhere else you can go. I mean, maybe over here you could have had something. But that's probably asking for too much at that point. So yeah, the shipping's alright. Well, there are some hilly areas, which is not a big deal. But overall, we have pretty good areas to build an airport pretty easily. You can even build it on top of here if you really wanted to. Yeah, these areas are pretty flat up here. Not a whole lot of terraforming to do. There is some, but not a whole lot. And the rest of the areas are pretty nice. So yeah, the airport, the elevation for the airport, really good. I do like that. Resources are pretty good. There's plenty of it around. In the first tile, we have farming, forestry, and then oil is just one away. That's really good. Ore is really nearby. The industries is pretty good here. I do really like the look of the map. This river kind of splitting up and coming through the middle here, I think is really well done. I do appreciate how it's done. The hills here are not too extreme. They are just right. And they add a nice little elevation to this map. There's plenty of them as well, so we're not dealing with a completely flat map. This map looks really good. There's a lot of beaches here. I think this is the best looking map of this DLC. This is my favorite map from this DLC. I do really want to play this one first. The winner of the 18th bracket of maps is Weaving Waters. Tune in to the next episode to see the winners of all 18 brackets get ranked from worst to best to see which map is the #1 map available in Cities Skylines. I wanted to take a minute to thank Grahtles for helping me rank all 82 maps. May God bless you and have a wonderful day.